My name is Dan Young, and welcome to the Millionaire Code podcast. I'm a self-made guy that has made multi-million-dollar businesses from scratch. There's no way I could have done it without the help of mentors who provided me with the wisdom and guidance to help me create the formula for success. Each week on my podcast, I'm going to interview a hugely successful business person that will provide you their secrets to success. And that way can act as your mentor too. I can't wait to share their stories and takeaways with you. Welcome to Dan's Millionaire Code. Hi, I'm Dan Young. Welcome to Dan's Millionaire Code. And as you know, every single week we bring to you an influencer, someone who changes the world, a millionaire, a billionaire, someone who really is a Jedi and is making a huge difference on this planet every single day. And today's guest, I'm super excited. I have Shauna Lake.
But wait, I'm not a millionaire or a billionaire. So.
She influences the universe in a very large way. She really lays out the news in a way that impacts people's minds so they can understand it from different perspectives. And I've been a super fan of yours forever.
Thank you. Vice versa.
So a couple things. We've known each other for quite a while. We see each other at a lot of events and also at the studios quite a bit. You're Emmy award winning, and you're anchoring on KUTV now for 24 years.
I know, 24 years, which is like crazy since I'm only 35, right? So I started at like 10 years old.
Time flies.
Yeah. No, I've been there for so long.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty fun all these years?
Really fun, and it's just, you know, when you enjoy a place, it's like I can't even imagine going elsewhere. I've had a few opportunities through the years, and I was just like, why would I leave?
Yeah.
When I'm so happy here, I love the community, I love the station. I think we do a really good job, and it's been a great run.
It's almost like you become a household name and face. And people depend on you for what's going on.
Thanks. Well, now I'm to the point where I'll go to a restaurant or something and someone will say, I grew up watching you. I've watched you my whole life. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but it means that I've been there a long time. So yeah, you become part of people's like lives, I guess, you know.
So you've got two sons, an 18, a 15-year-old,
yeah.
and Roxy, the Australian Shepherd.
Yes, she's my third child now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Puppy?
7 years old, but my oldest went to college, and so she's filling a void now in my house where I need to mother somebody else. So,
your dog there?
So she gets it, yeah.
Well, I had an Australian Shepherd when I was like 10.
Yeah?
It had one blue eye and one brown eye.
Same with her.
Really?
Uh-huh.
That's weird, huh?
She's the beautiful coat of like white and gray and black, and she has the one blue eye. She's neurotic. You know, that breed is like crazy, but...
Did she have one of those therapy dog vests?
Not yet. But I should get her one, huh?
When you go to Starbucks, you can be like,
exactly.
Big dog.
She's my emotional support for the day.
Feel better.
Yes. I wish.
So, just a couple things here,
Yeah.
interesting stuff here. So tell us about your background and how did you get into becoming a news anchor? Because I think a lot of our viewers out there, they aspire to maybe go down a similar path.
Uh-huh.
And since you're the mega expert Jedi of it.
Okay, so I was just super nerd, I guess, in like high school. I read Time magazine every week. My family on Sunday nights, we would all sit down and watch 60 Minutes together as a family. We were expected to speak about political goings on or topics of the day at the dinner table. So we were just expected to know what was happening in our world. And I was fascinated by that. I loved just the learning curve of just what was happening in our world. And so it was kind of, and I was a performer in high school. I didn't do a sport, which I regret so deeply, but like I just did debate and singing and dancing and performing. And it just seemed kind of like a natural segue into like what I wanted to do with current events and things like that. So
how do you get into it? Because you see a lot of people, I mean, that go on the news and they're there for, I don't know, a year or two, and then they just kind of disappear. So having 2 decades plus and having that consistency as an anchor, that's a huge feat.
I think it's a choice. You know, I was lucky, so I had the opportunity out of the gate. So my very first job out of TV was in Bangor, Maine. So to give you an idea of like the market size, so like New York's 1, LA 2, Chicago 3, Salt Lake City's like 30, and then Bangor, Maine's 155. So like the smallest, teeniest, like saddest market you can imagine, where I ran my own teleprompter with my foot, like I just wanted it, and that's how bad I wanted it. And I drove there sight unseen. I was just like, hi, I'm here. I'm your new morning anchor. And I did that for a year, and I had some success. But my mom, who's the best agent in the world, because she did not want me to end up back east. She wanted me out west. So this is pre-internet, pre-cell phone. She found me the job, because you had to like call into this service. I mean, it's so crazy now, Dan, to think about, but you had to call into this service every day and see if there was like a job opening. And if there was, you had to make this tape and send it in the post office, go to the post office, put it in an envelope, send it to the station. I mean, it's just so archaic compared to how it goes now, So
now how does somebody, I don't know, apply for this?
So now they would like download, they would have something made wirelessly, right? And they would download it and email it to the news director and say, here I am. That news director could email it to his other people in charge, and then everybody could see that person and see if they were a candidate or not. So it's really changed so dramatically,
So watching a lot of news myself, you see, again, a lot of these young people getting in and then they're out, right? And so how did you break through that plateau of just being kind of like a new recruit doing, reports in the morning to like mega? Because once you break through that threshold, that's kind of the cream of the crop, right?
Okay, so I think it's a choice on some level. Like I said, I had some offers early on to go to Dallas and a few other opportunities to do syndicated shows and things like that. And I was like, you know what? I love Utah. I relate to the people here. I want to be a mom. So I wanted to be somewhere where that was valued, where there was an emphasis on family. And I made the decision to stay in Utah. I think a lot of good talent that comes in and stays for a couple years, maybe they want to go and see if they can go to the big times or something like that. Or they get out because maybe they don't like it, or maybe they don't have what it takes, because it is kind of, it's a demanding career in a lot of ways. So I just made a conscious choice that I was like, in it to win it. I wanted to stay in Utah. I had the best mentor in the world in Michelle King, who was my predecessor. I was 13 years younger than her, and I just had emulated her. I'd watched her in college, and then to be able to work underneath her and just aspire to be like her. I mean, that was amazing too, to have a mentor in that way. So
wow.
Yeah.
So Michelle was like, she could power leveled you.
Oh man. She was just like the bomb, like I watched her in college and I was like, oh, someday if I could be like Michelle. And then as the universe had it, I was working with her, and then I was her heir apparent. And so when she decided to retire, like I got her job, which was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to share some war stories. You probably have heard, you've had some crazy stories.
Yeah.
Right? And had crazy experiences the last 24 years. What are some of what's your craziest one that's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy?
They're all crazy. I don't know. I'm not in the field as much where I think the crazy stuff happens. And my stuff's more sad. The story that sticks with me the most is a story about a man who took his little toddler hunting. And the toddler fell asleep in the car, and the dad went out and was hunting. And when he came back, the toddler was missing out of the car. And there was a search, and I was weekend anchor at that point and reporting also. And this poor man, and I had a son the same exact age. So, you start relating in a different way.
Yeah.
And he ended up taking his life. And I reported on that element too. And I just remember, I just thought so much about that story every single day. And it just sort of weighed on my heart a little bit, because I could he was just, he made a mistake. I think he was a shy, withdrawn person. And I think that everywhere he went, people were like, oh, that's the guy who left his kid in the car. He was in a small Utah town. But it was an eye-opener story where, everybody, we report on all these things, but there's always somebody real.
Yeah.
And human involved in that story. And that was just one of those ones I took home with me for a long time and thought about often. And just how we have it's an important job when you're telling a story about, it's just a car accident, but to somebody, it's their father, their husband, their grandfather. It's important to kind of keep in mind constantly that whoever we're talking about, it's somebody very real to someone out there.
Is it hard to report sometimes? Because you can really, with your reporting, make or break people's psychology and all those things. I mean, does it bug you?
Yeah.
Does it
Of course. I feel like sometimes I'm too soft for this job, because I care so deeply about people. And I mean, there's not a night that goes by. There was a story the other night where this little 4-year-old was killed because he was in the front seat of a car. His dad rear-ended somebody going just 30 miles an hour. The airbag deployed. That little boy was killed. And I mean, just those stories, I just take them home with me, and I'm just like, oh, that poor family and that dad, and how must he be feeling? And it's no, it's no small feat to be able to tell people's stories, and it's usually the hardest thing that's ever happened to them, or the best thing that's ever happened to them, but it's something that's like shaping them as a human being, and we're like talking about it.
So how do you deal with it psychologically, is not to let it just depress you all the time? I mean, because most news is kind of like heart-wrenching stuff, right?
Exactly.
That's interesting, right?
Yeah. So Walter Cronkite said, and people ask me this all the time, but like, how do you, talk about that stuff all day? It's so depressing. And I always cite Walter Cronkite, who said, when we become a society where like child abduction or sexual molestation isn't newsworthy, like we as a society are done.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a good barometer, right? So like, it's still hopefully is so disturbing to us as human beings that we're talking about it because it's newsworthy. When we become a society where stuff like that isn't even like worth a mention, then we're in trouble.
Yeah. So it's important to get that.
Well, it's important just to know that like this is not the norm. This is the anomaly.
Yeah.
Like a teacher who sexually assaults a student, that's not the norm. That's so disturbing that we need to know about it.
Yeah.
And so that kind of helps me a little bit. Like, okay, so these are things that need to be told. Things I think also just to warn people, like don't be so naive, don't be so trusting, don't take that robocall. I think that that's doing a good service, but I did see a therapist one time. Is that too much information? But they said, take it off. Like it's a coat. At the end of the day, like take it off. Take off that coat. Take off all the feelings and the emotion that you gave to all those stories and all those sad things. I mean, take it off and go home and live your life, and don't carry it all with you, or try your best not to.
That's important.
Yeah, really important. It was a major lesson.
So all these years you've been able to look super vibrant and awesome and still amazing, right? So what are the secrets for the viewers out there of how to maintain that energy, vibrancy, charisma?
Gosh.
You have a routine or
like I don't know.
Special skin cream? I need that.
Well, I do have a special skincare regime, which we can talk about if you'd like. Okay, so as far as like a pregame mantra or something like that, no. But there have been days where I'm super down and you just have to like get up, right? Because nobody wants to see like a depressed person like for 4 hours a day, which is like, true. I feel like I'm on there a lot. I just feel, I don't know. It's my job, right? And I have to just get up and do what I have to do. And that's how. Do
you tell yourself something? Do you have, like basketball players will say something before they shoot a 3-pointer or something, right? Do you have like a ritual in your mind?
I don't have a ritual in my mind. Nope.
Go out and get them.
I get up there and I'm just like, and like I learned this technique to just do these with my fingers to kind of just calm myself a little bit.
How does that work?
Where you kind of get in like okay, I'm calming down. Got this. I can do this. I used to get really nervous speaking publicly. I'm very shy.
Really?
In real life. And so that was like a technique I learned. Just calm yourself.
When I was watching, I watched you give the Best of State Awards, and I was like, wow, look how calm they are. Like, look how pro. Like, when I get up there, I'm like, how's it going to be? But you guys just...
I'm glad I make it look like that because I feel so nervous to do things like that. And somebody once described, the mallard duck, where they're all like smooth on the top and underneath they're like, oh, please let me swim and get where I'm going. That's how I feel a lot of times. Because I think that's the job, right? You're supposed to, the whole definition of an anchor is to like steady, let's anchor the ship, let's like make everything flow smoothly, let's be calm, that's your job. And so I think I've learned that through the years, just to be like calm on the outside and like churning on the inside,
This is funny, guys, because running a business is the same way. Everyone thinks, oh man, your PC laptops and your other companies are running so perfectly smooth. And I'm like, you have no idea. Like, in fact, last night I was hanging out with a few other entrepreneurs and we were talking about this. And everybody appears like they've done it so well. We had a guest on him, Rick White. In fact, I was one of the guys I had dinner with last night. And he sold his company for $3.5 billion.
Billion?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, little did you know, like, we were just a couple payrolls away from not making payroll. And, And it was a mess, and it was sloppy, and so no matter how big the deal looks, how big the company looks, how organized, there's humans. We're dealing with humans. So it's not as advanced as you think. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the big thing with the podcast, is showing people, like, if you're just, everything around us, and Steve Jobs said this, right, is created by just an average person.
Right.
Like, that person wasn't amazingly evolved mentally or something. It was just an average person that said, okay, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. And who just digs in a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it takes, I think, a lot of times, is just blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
You know, giving yourself to something.
I super admire you because, you know, you had some challenges in your career, right?
Yes.
And you handled challenges really well. I'd love to, maybe if you would share a little bit about some of the bigger challenges you've had in your career and how you dealt with that psychologically and kept going. And now I'd say your popularity level with the public here, like in Utah, is higher than it was before.
Thanks.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, it says a lot about Utah, doesn't it? I mean, it says a lot about the people here. I think the challenge you're referring to is something that happened to me about 1.5 years ago, where I got a DUI, and that was very public.
Way public.
Which I was not, I knew it would be challenging. I just didn't understand the level of publicity it would have, and online and being shared. I mean, it was just by far probably the most challenging thing that's ever happened to me. And I decided quickly to just own it, because to try to like dance around it or say, well, you know, it's not exactly what you think, or this happened or that happened, or try to make excuses, I just felt like that wasn't going to serve anyone. What I was shocked by, Dan, was just the like love.
Wow.
The love and the acceptance and the like stories that came out of that, like, oh my gosh, something similar happened to me, and something similar happened, you know, to me. And it's just, it ended up being one of the best things that's ever happened to me, and the most amazing lesson about grace.
Yeah.
About grace and about how to treat somebody when something hard happens. And I was just shocked by the outpouring of love and support from people here.
I was shocked on how you handled it, how well you handled it, because it came off as super authentic. And people saw that and they're like, wow. Mm-hmm. And maybe they're all relating in their minds, right? All the stupid things they've done. Mm-hmm. And they realize that we're just all normal human beings, right? We're blood and guts. Yeah. And we do dumb things. I
said to people, I go, imagine the worst thing you've ever done, and then standing up and then putting that on TV, you know, or because I felt like it was I was so ashamed. And, you know, I have children, and when I talk about like when you do the news and how your words and how you treat a story affects, you know, there's people behind those people always. And that was the case in this scenario as well. You know, I had 2 teenage sons, and I mean, it was just so hard to get through. But I feel like we're all better.
Yeah. I think it's way better, because now when we see your face on the TV, I was talking to my wife, we're like, oh, she's awesome. Because everyone like replays how you conducted yourself and figured things out, and we're just straight up with people, and it built that connection, because there's always, it feels like with any sort of celebrity status, whether you play a lot of commercials, you're a news anchor, whatever it is, people are like, that person's an alien. Mm-hmm. That person is flawless. And then that connection is there, that authenticity. So that's pretty cool.
And the ability to make him, you know, oh, she's just like me. She makes mistakes. And hers are a little more public and maybe a little worse. But she's like me. And I think that was a relatability maybe that, I don't know. I mean, I always felt like on the same level as everybody else, but I think that even the playing field a little bit, maybe.
It's kind of interesting. Utah is fairly conservative, right?
I know.
And one of my mentors taught me, he said, Dan, everybody self-medicates somehow. Mm-hmm. Whether it's caffeine or eating lots of Taco Bell or drugs or whatever they're doing, alcohol. I mean, people are all, they have similar pains and emotions, and people are people, you know? Mm-hmm. So I love that. That is huge. I've never seen that before, how handled so well. You see a lot of people hiding, you know, oh, I didn't, or maybe it'll just go away and that kind of thing. But hitting your fear head on wow, that's pretty ballsy. That's like major guts.
I wish I could have gotten there in a different way, but I mean, just the way it all presented itself, it just was meant to be. It just was a message to me that I needed to make some changes, and I did it, with the assistance of like 3 million Utahns who were really there for me.
Well, you secured your relationship because it became almost a personal relationship with all the viewers. Because they're all because usually you don't feel, you see the news and you're like, oh, that's horrible, or oh, that's great. But with this, like with that human being and I are relating.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And you would be shocked at the things people have shared with me. Like, shocked. I mean, they come out of the woodwork and share the most personal, painful things. And I've been so touched by that as well, because I think suddenly I'm still a stranger, but I'm safe. I'm a safe place to say something that maybe they've harbored for a long time. So I appreciate all that. I just think Utahns are the best people,
They're very forgiving.
Very, very forgiving, and they cheer for people's success,
That is so true, because I remember when I came from Los Angeles when I was a teenager, I was very delinquent. Did a lot of bad stuff, partying all the time, and my parents were like, get out of the house. So I moved to Utah with my sister, and at first I thought, oh, people are going to judge me and think, oh, this delinquent kid. But people like opened up with open arms and warmth, and they're just like, oh, we love you, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? I love you too.
We love you.
So, I mean, so forgiving. I mean, they could have been so judgmental and ostracized. And
right.
But everyone
Where do you think that comes from?
Well, obviously, I think, the predominant religion in Utah, right? Mm-hmm. Teaches that probably as a principal guideline subconsciously to forgive. Mm-hmm. Not everybody follows it in that, but I think there's a giving attitude, like give 10% or whatever it is.
Give back.
Yeah, but I think that rubs off into people of all religions and races here. It's just kind of an aura that you feel. One thing I've noticed here in Utah, like when people are like even going to restaurants, people are really kinder about like opening doors for people. Saying thank you, those things.
Yeah, I think so too. There's
more than, I don't know.
There's like a real Midwest kindness, just, hey, how's your day? Good, how's your day? I mean, I love it here. I can't imagine being somewhere else.
Yeah, I was thinking when I grew up in LA and I was like, I don't want to move back to LA. Because in LA it was so sterile. Yeah. Like everyone kind of was totally locked in their own bubble. And here, I don't know.
And the living's easy. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, my commute, and I commute off hours, right, because I work nights, 13 minutes door to door. And I live, in a suburb, like in Holiday. But I mean, it's just, there's no commuting and there's no, it's just, I feel like the living here is easy. And I'm from California. So, I get like how it can be a little bit harder other places.
It's different, huh?
Different, yeah.
Traffic here is good for sure.
Yeah, really good. Really good.
So what's on your bucket list? Like, you're rocking, you have your shows and everything like that. What's on your bucket list? What do you want to do when you grow up?
Okay, so plan B, I have a skincare line that I'm doing right now.
Let's talk about that.
It's called Fabulous Beauty.
Can guys use it?
Yes, guys can definitely use it. It's so great. Okay. But it's Fabulush, Lush, beauty.com. And it started with this serum. And it's a 10%, I can get all into it, but you can find out more on the website. But that's kind of my next plan B. That's what I want to do next because you can't do TV forever. And growing up, I always wanted to be either a dermatologist or a news anchor. So I figured this is like my next step, trying to do the other.
How long is it brand new? Have you had it for a while?
Well, I have this other job that kind of takes a lot of my time. And so I haven't been able to devote like as much time as I want, but I'm definitely working hard to build it and trying to get it to the next level so that when I do get out of TV, I'm going to like launch myself into that. So
I will invite you. We have a podcast guest party that I'm putting together. And so you have all the guests, all the super crazy, awesome people, and we're going to all get together at a restaurant and just meet and talk.
Oh, I'd love that.
I'd love to introduce you to some of these other guests because a lot of them are product people that have beauty products, health products, different things, and they're masters of marketing.
Oh, nice. I need help.
So maybe share that with you.
Yeah, sure. Like, it's interesting because I can't really do it as Shauna while I'm doing my other job. There's a lot of limitations about what I can do and what I can't do. And so I'm trying to like figure that part out. But I mean, I'm excited. You say bucket list. I mean, that's what I'm doing next. So I want to raise healthy, well-adjusted kids. I have one son in college right now, so I feel like he's on his way. And then I have a 15-year-old who's a sophomore.
Are they both turning out pretty good?
I mean, so far, I'm like, is this real wood? Yeah.
My son was kind of rowdy, and then he got awesome. Yeah, I mean, then now he's awesome.
He's awesome.
He was rowdy, and then he was awesome.
Okay, well, that gives me hope. I mean, they're not rowdy yet, so I'm just hoping we can get them raised without the rowdiness. Yeah. Is that possible?
I don't know. As long as they're not hurting themselves or other people.
Right. He can be rowdy at college. I just don't want to know about all the details necessarily. Yeah. Just get out of my house without being
kids, don't put what you're doing on the internet on social media.
Please. Parents
have
heart attack.
So, skincare line. So, Fabulous Beauty.
Fabulush.
Fabulush Beauty. How do you spell that? Let's get that spelling right.
Okay, it's FABULUSH.
Okay. Beauty.com.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll have to try some of that.
Yeah, you need some.
I definitely need
I'll get some to you.
Since I'm on TV a lot now.
Yes, right? But you already have really good skin. I can already tell just from looking at you.
Thank you. Okay, so just a couple of things I kind of want to recap.
Yes.
So, if people want to get into your field and they're up and coming, what are maybe a couple of the top tips for them to start out at in today's world?
Okay, that's such an interesting question because TV doesn't exist like it did when I got into it, right? Yeah. It's changing. I really, honestly, Dan, feel like I'm going to be the last vestige of a news anchor.
Really?
Like the kinds that we know about. I feel like vlogging, podcasts, YouTube, I mean, that's the wave of the future. I honestly believe that in 10 years, if you really like somebody, you will subscribe and pay $1 a week or whatever, and to hear that person give you the news. And I feel like that person will choose stories that they feel like are important to the community or important to you. I think it's going to be changing in that realm because people are not, this is so crazy. 20 years ago, people would wait for the 6 o'clock news. Okay, and they would gather as a family and be like, what happened today? People now are on their phones constantly and have alerts set so that any headline that happens, right, you're getting it on your phone or your tablet instantaneously. Nobody's waiting all day long to see what happened. So the news industry is changing constantly. The thing that we give as local media is you're never going to get emotion from a headline.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Emotion. Okay, you're going to know that the house burned down, but you're not going to know, like, from the woman who was in the house, like, oh my gosh, I was sleeping and I smelled the smoke and I grabbed my baby and I grabbed my dog and I ran out of the house. You're never going to get all of that from a headline. So there's still a need, right, for local news and for people to tell a story because people want all the details. But the way we do it and the way we assimilate that information is changing. So for people who want to get into it, I would say be more open-minded to start a podcast or to, I'm obsessed with podcasts right now, or to, I don't think that's a straight line like it used to be.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit more roundabout, and I think there's a lot more opportunity too, because instead of 3 jobs, 3 female anchor jobs in a market, I think there's a lot of opportunity now online because it's millions of people out there. Does that make sense?
You're seeing a lot of that now.
Yeah.
I've been watching different people conducting the news for like Fox, different stations. And a lot of them are now, a lot of these younger kids are working on their personal brand a lot on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram.
Yes, they're genius at it.
And then if they get fired, they're instantly picked up and they've got good income stream coming from people subscribing and buying products.
Absolutely.
And things, right?
I mean, they're genius at marketing themselves, right? So they're always going to land somewhere. And I feel like this next generation, it's almost about branding themselves as a journalist, and then working for Vice, that show Vice on HBO where they dig in and like do really in-depth stuff, or a podcast, or there'll always be a way for you. Yeah. I think it's more about branding yourself this go around than like attaching yourself to a station.
That's true. That is really true. I think now, in fact, we're starting to feel it on the social media for Dan's, Millionaire Code. It's just amazing what you can tap into there. But one thing is this, and I teach people this, there's a massive opportunity right now. And the opportunity is relationships with other humans. Have you noticed, though, with great companies like Amazon and stuff happening online, people can click online and buy things. But a question that a lot of people ask me is, Dan, is there a future in retail and interactions with people face-to-face in restaurants and experiences? And I say, absolutely. As long as you have human buyers, people will want that high-level of service. And it's almost like this. I was thinking about luxury goods like Jimmy Choo shoes and Gucci and Prada and all this stuff. People like to buy in some of these boutiques because of the experience. And it makes them feel special as humans. And they're there going with their spouse or whatever. They go in there and they pick up a great purse or something, and it's like a gift. And it's like, oh, hug and go to dinner. That cannot be replaced digitally on the internet. And the big thing, and this is a thought that we've tried to project into our computer stores, though, is again, electronics have become commoditized, but it's that relationship that human beings need for support. So people ask, me, what is the number one thing that you provide to your customers that's so valuable? Is it this new chip? I'm like, actually, the computer chips and all that are not as relevant as us showing the human being how to use it.
Right.
People appreciate that.
Right, the tutorial, and just to know they're not alone in the experience. Is that what you mean, kind of?
Well, yeah, we get a lot of people calling us, oh, I can't log into my Facebook. And we're like, sure, we'll walk you through it, Mary. And then Mary's like, you're awesome. Next week, she's like, I feel bad because I have to ask you again. I can't log into my Facebook. And we're like, oh, no, come in. We'll totally help you. Or we'll walk you through it on the phone. Great.
Yeah.
And every time that interaction happens, it builds that relationship. And there's a massive opportunity in restaurants, retail, electronics, anything to build businesses that help human emotions. And I think that experience is going to expand more. Like, if you take car lots, people can buy on eBay. But a lot of people buy from car lots because they can drive it. It's an emotional experience, your kid's first car or your car or whatever.
Right.
That experience can be enhanced. And people, just like good restaurants, they don't mind spending the money for a great human interaction.
No, you're right, 100%.
Yeah. So it's a gold mine. People ask Dan, and I'll disclose this to you guys. You guys think, Dan, you're digital, PCLaptops.com, Zydex.com, super easy backer. You're a .com guy, right? Well, this is an unknown secret that 60% of our marketing dollars are spent on non-digital. And people go, why? I'm like, well, it depends on your demographic. So news, that's how we met, right? I like to buy the news, that's live news, because the demographic that we're targeting, let's say for retail, the 35, 40 plus crowd, they're watching live news more. And because the demand level, maybe the dollars have been shifted to digital, it means that people are going to wheel and deal more for the news deal.
Right.
Same with radio and those things.
Right.
And we did an experiment. We turned off our radio advertising, just radio, and TV is super effective too.
Right.
But we turned it off for 1 week just to see, went dark for 1 week. And we took a 15% actual foot traffic drop, which people go, is it that effective? I'm like, it's that effective.
Wow.
It depends who your crowd is.
Right.
But the thing is, you can't do blanket marketing anymore. You can't just be, I'm going to be on every TV station, every radio. You have to specifically pick. So TV, I always say, news, radio, great station, talk radio, morning drives, evening drives, where people are kind of hostage to their car.
Of course. And I think it's important, at least for me, like to put a person with a product, right? So like, I'm not a tech person. I'm the person that would call you and say, how do I log on to Facebook? I literally have challenges like that. But I, just from watching ads, I'm like, I know you and I trust you and you're authentic to me. So I'm like, if I'm going to go down this road, at least I can do it with Dan. I think that there's a lot to that versus just logging on, being like, okay, click, I want this computer with this feature. I think that there's, to your point, a lot to be said for like a human being guiding you through a process. And maybe it's a lot like news, a human being kind of guiding you through the news of the day.
Well, if you present a story, that's even if it's sad, if I watch that, I'll get teary-eyed and go, oh my gosh. I empathize, right? If I'm watching a headline on my phone, there are no emotions. You're like, oh, well, crap happens. Next, next.
Exactly.
So that human emotion out of the event is taken out. So I think there's a long future for great personalities. And maybe they're going to use the digital route to infiltrate the world more.
Right.
But the traditional means is still like a meat and potatoes backbone. And this will be cool, interesting to see your segue into your entrepreneurial adventure.
I know, it's such a different world, you know. But I hope I can take all the tools I've learned from being a communicator and use those in my next journey.
So friends, I'm going to give you some free coaching right now because I'm going to coach Shauna on one thing.
Yes.
So as you're building your personal brand here, your personal brand's going to drive your beauty line, right? That's what's going to drive it. That's the main reason now. So I would probably recommend to you that really you're allowed to focus on your personal Instagram, Facebook branding, continue to scale that. And people want to know what's going on. And one thing that you can do, if people are interested maybe in maybe you're allowed to share the life of Shauna, right? Mm-hmm. You could maybe do your podcast, blog, and newsletter. But the reason why you want to do that is to build your tribe, your email base.
Right.
Because if you can get, let's say, 50,000 people who are interested in seeing what you have going on, I would bet you when you launch your beauty line, if you do your big launch to that email campaign, you probably sell hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of your product.
You think?
Yeah, because that tribe is subscribing to you because they're interested in you. Mm-hmm. And so I've done this with PC laptops. In the beginning, we weren't that good about collecting emails, but we've collected a couple 100,000 now. And when I send out some information to people with maybe an offer, hey, we got this new iPhone charging cable, you can get one for $10 or something. We'll sell a couple thousand.
Wow. Pretty
quickly because people are like, hey, I want to see. Mm-hmm. And if you're like, hey, you see me, hey, you see me around, blah, 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 and I take this cream and you're wondering, like, if I have not slept too much, how do I look? Well, this is what I do right before I make my video.
Right.
And then people will be like, crap, I want to buy that. Click. And maybe they want to buy it maybe they want to subscribe and buy it every month.
Yeah. Wouldn't that make me an MLM though?
No.
Just auto ship or whatever?
Auto ship's okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you like it.
If someone likes your face cream and they want a little vial every month for $30 or whatever, then you want your face cream.
It's not easy too to get older and be on TV. Like that's not the easiest journey either.
I've noticed that because
Tell me.
Remember we were 240p, 480p when DVDs came out?
Yes. Yeah.
Then we went HD.
Yes.
Now it's like now they can see your DNA.
I know. I'm like, can we put some Vaseline on that lens, please? Like Barbara Walters, like that nice soft focus. That's a challenge.
Like the Insta filter.
The Insta filter. Like I wish, right? You know how on your phone you can do like a live thing and look like a rabbit? Or or they have those filters where you can look like an animal of some sort. Like I wish they had those for
Put a tiara on.
Yes.
That's what I do. I put a tiara on.
Oh, see? Because you're like king of the world.
Yeah. It's like a princess tiara.
Oh, okay. Well,
no, I'm kidding. So this is cool. I really appreciate you sharing all this. This is really a
Did I do a good job? I just feel like I'm not even on the par of all the people you have on here, but thank you.
Guys and gals, if you haven't watched Shauna, though, you have to watch the KUTV news.
And we have so many options. You can watch at 4, 5, 6, or 10 o'clock, Monday through Friday.
And fabulousbeauty.com.
Yes.
So people can check it out. So people can buy stuff now?
Yeah.
Really just go there and
click.
And buy. And you have recommendations on what people need?
Oh, yeah. I only have a few things.
I'm going shopping after this.
It's very grassroots. Please do. So I just appreciate you having me on here so much.
Thank you.
Did I answer everything you wanted?
It's great. This is phenomenal.
Was I transparent enough?
I think everybody will love it. So guys, let me just close up here. Dan's Millionaire Code. As you know, we have an influencer, millionaire, billionaire every single week who changes the world and it makes a huge difference. If you find this beneficial, one thing that you'll find, have you noticed there's no sponsors, there's no commercials on here, and you're not being sold anything, and you're like, Dan, why are you doing this? Why are you and Shauna doing this? Well, it's to pay it forward, because I think people like myself and Shauna have been very blessed in life, and I'm super grateful, and she's super grateful.
Yes.
And really, all the guests are sharing what helped them in their journey, and hopefully that can change your life too. And the most important thing is execute what you're learning from masters like Shauna. And if you find it valuable, rate it 5-star, but share it with a friend or relative who would really touch their heart and change their life. That's all we ask you to do. As you know, Dan's Millionaire Code, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Spotify now, Google Play Store. So follow us there if you have some time. And then make sure you watch the video podcasts on YouTube. And hit the notification button so you know when new videos are coming on. I appreciate you guys. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.